So my daughter's telling me about this movie where she's watching this woman feed her dead father spaghetti. What's the title? What's the name of the movie? She's like, I don't know, I don't remember. And she says, I'm in a coffee shop with my girlfriend, Dad, I have to go. So I said, all right. Those movies that I picked out, that movie that was sticking, I'm leaving with those 3 science fiction movies and that movie sticking out. I just grabbed it. Anthony Hopkins was in it. I thought, I'll check it out. I'd go home. It's not my cup of tea, but I go ahead and put it in first thing, and I'm reading off the dialogue like I've seen the movie every day my whole life. I'm just spouting out the dialogue along with the characters. I'm like, pause. What's going on? How's that even possible? I've never seen this movie. It's called Proof. The movie's called Proof. So then I'm going on in the movie. After a while, I put it back on. I'm not doing the dialogue. And then I start doing the dialogue. He's dead. I'm glad he's dead. I'm like, pause. Next scene, I go ahead and put it on. I'm watching this, and I'm freaking. I'm not freaking out, but I'm kind of up on the couch like I'm watching a horror film. And I'm like, what? Get that out. I'm like, I'm just holding on for dear life over here watching this. But you got to understand, so many other things happened to me already before at this point. I mean, I had things that I didn't talk about that are in the book. Stars communicate with me, orbs telling me to not eat meat and give me a whole list of things to do and not to do, and just flocks of birds that I'm watching are like, disappear. So all these other things that were happening, I was already kind of geared up, me shouting out dialogue, no big deal, but I was still like, all this stuff is still happening. I moved my location. Location has nothing to do with it. Granted, the experience has changed a little, but I also changed my diet. Orbs that were telling me not to eat meat, now I'm eating turkey, so I don't know. But I wrote everything down. At this point, I was writing everything down. I'm like, something's got to be up with this. There's got to be a connection somewhere. So there I'm sitting here watching this woman feed her dead father spaghetti. And I'm like, what? This is the movie she was telling me about yesterday. This is amazing. Chris, you're not going to believe this. The movie you told me about that you couldn't remember the title, it's called Proof. Dad, what are you talking about? The movie you told me about where the dead woman's feeding her, or the woman's feeding her dead father spaghetti. Dad, I was in a coffee shop with my girlfriend yesterday. We did not speak. My phone was off. I said, I didn't tell you about Louis Anderson dying on Family Feud and he's still with us? Dad, who's Louis Anderson? No. And it was my daughter. It was her voice. I know my daughter. A couple of things I want to say. I was very tired when that conversation was going on. So I was kind of in like, not a dreamlike state. I was paying attention. We were having the conversation. But I remember starting to doze off. There was also a lot of crackling on the phone. 2 things I remember. I don't even remember. I don't know if I put that stuff in the book. But because I don't know that when I wrote the book that stuff was pertinent. Now, it means something because of the stuff I've been learning since. That stuff's major, especially the kind of being tired. I'm putting myself in a different state. Did I? That wouldn't have been bilocating. But that would have been something a little bit more extreme in 2 dimensions. So all these different experiences were also happening in Mississippi. Something that I did not put in the book. I would come outside and sit on the porch, and there was like a gymnasium back to the right. And I would just look at, it was the name of the place and a phone number. And every day, different numbers were up and down. It was like, the letter R was down, and the next day the R would be up and the A would be down. A couple of the numbers would be down. They kept mixing up. It was like every day. I'd be bringing this stuff up to my roommate. He's like, who cares? It doesn't matter. So that was just one thing. There was also a Ford station all the way across the road there. It was a dirt lot that was empty, and then a Ford station. Across the street from there was all the cars for the Ford place. It was an empty buildings. It was like an old mall, but they were all empty and all the Ford cars. And one day I woke up and it was very recent. Like I seen it like that, and then wasn't quite the next day. It could have been. It's a pizza place, a Chinese restaurant, a shoe store, a nail salon, and all the Ford cars are in the dirt lot. And I'm like, you put up those signs. I'm thinking, they put up them signs that quick. And I'm like, this is one of those things. This is just one of those things. It's cool. The experiences are still happening. So like work wasn't really an important thing to me. You know, I'd go in, do my job, do what I had to do. I had other things going on in my head, man. I'm like, what is this? I was really posting a lot on YouTube.com at that point. YouTube.com, MandelaEffect.com. And that's when I first started doing YouTube videos. My first 2 videos are in Mississippi. And after that, they're back in Colorado. Because I ended up leaving Mississippi. And I was just gonna head up the East Coast, and there were new things happening to me. You know, this Mandela effect, and my thing was, wow, our consciousness is shifting into different dimensions, is what I was calling it then. And going to YouTube, I noticed everybody was calling it timelines, so I just changed it to timelines to not, confuse things, or so people knew what I was talking about. My first 2 videos were there, and then I ended up getting a call from a friend in Colorado, and he said, yeah, you can come up here and bartend, you can be a cook, you could be a server, whatever you want. Just come on up here. I got a place for you to stay and everything. Okay, why not? So I head up into the middle of the mountains, and that's, let's see, April, May 7th, 16? All right, 16, I believe it is. Yeah, been there that long. And that's where I've been ever since. Did the experiences stop? They slowed down when I started posting about all my experiences on YouTube. I don't know that, I wouldn't say they stopped. I mean, I would open up a cooler and go, hey, where'd you put all the Red Bull? And I'd be shutting the cooler, and they'd go, in the cooler you're standing in front of, and I'd open it up and they'd all be there. And I'm just like, it's dark red. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe it was a glance. And I knew. I laughed. I go, you gotta be kidding me. I there's no way. I know. The thing was just empty. But it was so busy, I had no time to sit there and get all excited about it. I had to grab what I needed and get back to work. I mean, that's, it was just, things were happening like that. And I'm just like, not blowing it off like I would have before I knew about this stuff, but it would just make me laugh. Because now I'm talking about with everybody in the bar about it for 3 years now. You walk into the Silver Dollar Saloon and it's like, Mandela Effect, t-shirts, bartenders, servers, they'll all tell you about it. It's funny now because I'll do interviews at the bar and somebody else will chime in and stuff. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, because I'm tired of talking about it. To me, it took 4 years. But I finally found a next step, because that's something I kept saying is, look, we're not just here to chase Mandela effects around the rest of our lives. That's not what this is about. There's got to be something more. And that's where I was going towards before I went back to Colorado, because I realized I was getting in the car and just going and not, it didn't matter what time of day it was. Didn't matter where I was going to get money from. I had some, but that was good enough. It didn't matter where I was going to work. I was going to do what I wanted to do, because my thought was, look, how often am I going to get a chance to do this? Let's just go and see what happens. So I was actually on my way to Miami. I figured I'm going to go down there and see that ballpark. What are the odds I'll ever see that? Let me go down there. And I got the call from the Colorado, and I went back up here and posting and trying to get the idea that the Mandela effect is a real phenomenon. It's really happening. It's a real thing. Could some of it be misremembering? Sure. Could some of it be people making stuff up? Yeah, sure. But I've seen things change in front of my eyes. I've been Grateful Dead pin. It changes red to blue, blue to red, with another guy standing right next to me, and we're going. I said, did you see that? He's like, yeah. He grabs his phone and he pops up the one he bought, which is a different color now from the one he's looking at. He's going, this is the one I bought. This is it. It's the same pin, yet the colors are all messed up and backwards. The red and the blues were all, and he's just like, this is bizarre. And then he said, hey, you remember the tapestry? Because it was my old roommate. He's like, yeah, it shows me this tapestry. I said, yeah, all yes and positive on one side, all no and negative on the other. He goes, go look at it. It was all scrambled. It's more to the truth. Where did I get that saying? It's because yes and no and positive and negative, everything was scrambled up and mixed. It was all one thing now. And that's so true. That's one of the things that I'm on my next step. Okay, that's one of the things Kimberly Lynn Hansen showed me is the Mandela effects. If you look at it, what's the message? It is close. It's always closer to the truth. Kit Kat doesn't need a dash. You know what I mean? So the dash is gone. That's closer to the truth. And stuff like that. I'm not going to go through examples, but there's a lot of stuff like that. It makes more sense. Okay, Victoria's Secret. Now it's Victoria's '(S) Secret. Victoria's Secret. That's not only is that closer to truth and makes more sense. Victoria's Secret would be like a first and a last name, maybe, but Victoria's Secret, it's her secret. And the positive and the apostrophe S. A lot of those clues for me were always going from plural to singular or possession. So I always found that interesting, and I got that. It was always, everything seems to be going closer to truth, and that's that route I'm taking now with the things I'm learning. And that's my next step. I don't expect it to be everybody's next step, but that's my next step, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to learn to live, I guess by intuition would be one word to use, higher self, just getting in tune with my higher self and listening to it and trying to get a clear connection.
Well, so you gave me a lot to work with and talk about like that. So going into things that were brought up in the subjects, when you shifted the timelines at near-death experiences and survived, that is something that I've experienced myself, as well as seen with other people where they'll be in a situation that's completely, they would totally die. The rest of the car gets smashed and everything's out of whack, but nobody else in it, except their section is totally fine and they don't have scratch on them. Chris even has a thing where he gets whipped out of the vehicle and ends up totally fine.
Is that Chris Sinatra?
Yeah. And
the corporate businessman? That guy?
Yeah. You heard him? And scenarios that just completely shift, even if you felt them, and there's even a residual image mark on your chest, as you'd say.
That disappeared in days.
That could be a bunch of things, whether it being what I'm getting, even it doesn't have to be truth. Hey, maybe it could be this, where hey, you have the deep power within you based on you being needed on this timeline, Earth needing you, and without you, certain things fall apart. So things have the motivation and will to prevent your death. Things like going back in time, whether it be yourself, and shifting things and an editorial standpoint of replacing what needs to be in the quantum hologram box of Schrodinger's box of is it alive or dead, and then what is not anchored, especially directly in this timeline, is a lot easier to shift. And we had a conversation before, and you told me that the lights were off and you weren't able to see everything. So there's less observer effect in that situation, so you had more of a ability with less energy needed to be able to shift that, and that's pretty interesting.
And on the other hand, if the lights were on and I saw everything happen, I may have shifted back to a point before I opened the door and something else would have happened. I mean, that's possible, I don't know, but I really felt like I was, I feel like it was by design. When I look back at the piece of paper and all the things that really should not have taken place, you know, I propped up that
Did you
shovel.
save the paper?
I think I eventually went out and put it in the garbage in the street. That's funny.
Well, at least you did that.
Got that
Mission
done.
Success.
On every timeline, apparently.
You didn't let it stop you. Completely. Oh, wow. Yeah, and I was getting like little messages while we were talking just a bit ago. And I was like, who's sending me a message? And I was getting, it's the version of you in the future that is who you need to become, that is looking back at this video and bringing certain things to like attention and actualization in like a shifting way that you have advancement in. And like also like bringing like awareness into my thing to talk about, which is like how did you become like this? This doesn't just happen to everyone. I mean, they can have it happen to them, and if they go looking for it, they'll find it. But like when a person has residual frequency in their hologram to where they're automatically, without thinking about it, shifting things around them constantly in a repair, healing, wholeness type of way, where you're taking what you see and making it better, and it just shifts effortlessly, and it creates unique experiences for you and that are observable to others. That's a huge thing that is needed. That means you're doing a lot in the unseen besides what people physically see.
So basically, my future self just heard all that again and understood every word.
Yeah, and talking about it was wanting me to go into you merging with the greatest aspect version of yourself, and like those parts in moments in your time where you felt like more connected to the wisdom of why everything is and truth, and like you being able to bring more of that aware version of yourself that already exists into the body, anchored, and kind of see where else you exist, like that concept you're going into where you either shifted and you have the evidence of like scars and tattoos switching on your body, so they might not be the same timeline body. You might be consciously shifting into another body, so that would be a calling. Hey, you got a bunch of bodies on all these timelines. Maybe you can sync up with them, get them all working together, and see what your hive mind concept working together kind of functions and what it's
Get
aware
them
of.
all working together. Get them all.
How much truth they all have.
Interesting.
Like, oh, that's some pretty deep stuff, future selves. Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Wow.
But yeah, tell us a little bit more of the rabbit holes you were going into and what it was like working in casino. Did you see any interesting glitches with that?
In the casino? No, I was too 3D physical. I was totally locked in. I mean, I could talk about things that I always laughed. I would like make things happen. You know, I could call cards. I could, when I was playing poker, I'm not poker, when I was dealing blackjack, I could call the cards, but I used to count cards as well. So I was able to, you know, even without counting the cards, I still had a decent idea what was coming out. After a while, you do that long enough, it's second nature. But I mean, what else? I mean, one time A guy was sitting there playing. He had his money in the spot. I think it was 3-card poker. And I dealt him his cards. I dealt my cards. The guy next to this guy, it's just me and him. And he's betting like 500 a hand. And it's like, it's 1,500 if you want to stay in. It's like 1,000 and then 1,500. Another 500 if you want to stay in. Like, so he doesn't look at his cards. And I'm crushing the guy. He's getting killed. And this person over here that's watching falls down. He's grabbing his chest. He's going, oh, God, he's a doctor. The guy gets up. He goes over. They go, he's helping him or whatever. And he comes back. Everybody's all around the table. And he says, I'm not really into playing it. I said, just, I take the money. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You give him his money back. I take the cards, and as I'm locking them up, I fan them in front of my face, and it's a straight flush. It's a straight ace, king, queen, 3-card poker. And he gets all his money back. He wins everything back. But he didn't want to play the card. The pit boss is saying, just give him his money back. I can't play with all this going on around me now. So he didn't. That hand would have, whatever. The odds are like 40 to 1 or something. So I believe that's what they were.
Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, please show your love and subscribe to this channel for more content. Click that like button and share this video. The more people I see watching, the more I know what content people like. The more motivation I have to film and create. Mostly I'm doing this by myself, so the extra little push will definitely get me into action. And blast that notification bell to get the latest alerts on release. Comment your questions and possible future show ideas, what you think, below. I may end up answering those questions in the next show. Links are in the description if you want to contact me for more info, possible consultations, distant healing, massage, DNA programming, past life readings, and much, much more, as well as the services demonstrated in this video. Go to the psionicleague.com if you are interested in joining the league. Love you all so very much. Thank you for all your support.